And it is that while the lethality of their power is greater than ever, their capacity to impose control over the politically awakened masses of the world is at a historical low. Namely, in earlier times, it was easier to control 1 million people. Literally, it was easier to control 1 million people than physically to kill 1 million people. Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people.
The smoke in the air of our Concord bridges and Pearl Harbors is always smelled first by the farmers who come from their simple homes to find the fire and fight.
But if you embark on instituting a society where government protects you from yourself, you're in big trouble, and that's what they're doing. That's all government is force. I mean, do you have a choice about paying Medicare taxes? This government uses force to mold behavior or mold the economy. They've overstepped the bounds, and they violated the whole concept of our revolution and our Constitution.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Freedom Link right here on the Orion Talk Radio Network. I'm Joe Joseph, along with Tim Watts and John King. Boys, how are we doing this evening?
Oh, it's been a bad day. 23 executive orders, really?
Evening, guys. Clickety-clack.
Oh, boy. Here we go with the clickety-clack thing again. Why do you got to regurgitate that stuff? Yeah, I know. Blech. Anyway, folks, a lot to talk about this evening as the Chairman Obama has gone and issued his 23 edicts, if you will. And I want to go over those tonight because they're very important to understand, yeah. Very important to understand. So let me bring this up. Here's the full list of the 23 executive actions and gun violence reduction measures. Yeah, okay. So number 1, Timmy, here we go. Issue a presidential memorandum to require federal agencies to make relevant data available to the federal background check system. That's numero uno. Number 2, address unnecessary legal barriers, particularly regarding or relating to the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act that might prevent states from making information available to the background check system. So basically what it's saying is, listen, address unnecessary legal barriers. There's legal barriers in place because they're illegal, because the things you're trying to do are bad. And so, yes, address unnecessary legal barriers, which means that the federal government is now probably going to take legal action against states that refuse to share information with the background check system. And, of course, when the federal courts, when they're bought and paid for, oh, boy. Number 3. Now, this is a biggie. This is probably one of the biggest ones. Improve incentives for states to share information with the background check system. Let me say that again. Improve incentives for states to share information with the background check system. Boys, what do you think that means?
Not good.
Oh, wow. Hey, thanks, man. That was a very I'm just my world is shattered from the smattering of intelligence that just came and steamrolled me. Not good. Goof. Yes, I know it's not good. So what do you think, Timmy?
Oh, I'm just speechless, the whole day. I mean, yesterday we were talking about 19 executive orders, and then you see 23 today. I mean, for crying out loud, this is a grab like I didn't think I'd ever see in my lifetime, And the fact that so many people don't get it yet, I talk to a lot of, conservative people, that are supposedly for guns rights, and every one of them, they take this, it's not going to happen. I'm like, seriously, are you paying attention to what the hell is going on in this country? I'm so tired of people saying, it's not going to happen. Well, pay attention to just today alone, you wonder if is the mainstream media going to talk about this? Because this is apparently where these people, get their education from. It's a pretty sad state, Joe.
Yeah, it is. Go ahead, John.
I can probably pull about a dozen Japanese Americans from internment that spent time in internment camps during World War II that would say the exact same thing before they got sent there.
Sure.
Yep, absolutely. So I want to make perfectly clear what this means. Improve incentives for states to share information with the background check system. As everybody knows, most states, are in deep, dire financial trouble. And when they say that they want to improve incentives, that means that they're going here from now, and instead of holding your arm behind your back in some sort of move to make you submit, now they're going to take out the cement shoes. That's what's going to happen. Because now all of a sudden it's going to be, well, you don't want to help us, do you? No? We're just going to take your funding away. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to hold federal funding over the states' heads. Much the reason why you might see your municipalities participate in Fourth Amendment violating roadblocks and checkpoints. Because if they don't, all of a sudden their federal funding dries up for their little police departments. And the last thing that people want to do is lay somebody off. If you've ever been a boss, you know how hard that can be. Doesn't matter what profession you are, if it's a police officer or not, you don't want to see somebody lose their job or lose the ability to provide for their family. So, I mean, you can totally understand there's a lot of pressure on these people, and sometimes it's not easy to make the right decision. And a lot of people don't have the backbone to make the right decision. So that's what makes that number 3 so dangerous, is that when they start talking incentive, you have to ask yourself, well, what would that incentive be, and what type of character are we dealing with in Washington? Number 4, direct the Attorney General to review categories of individuals prohibited from having a gun to make sure dangerous people are not slipping through the cracks. Okay, so what is the criteria now, Mr. Attorney General?
For dangerous people.
Yeah, what constitutes a dangerous person now? Would that be somebody that wants to bring to light inconsistencies in Sandy Hook narratives?
In 9/11?
Or to warrant, to ask for and demand for a new independent investigation into the attacks on 9/11?
How about anybody that puts in an application to own a gun?
How about anybody that owns more than 10 ounces of gold or silver?
Hey, now, that's personal.
Yeah. How about anybody that stockpiles food? How about anybody that buys X amount of ammo in 1 month? I mean, the possibilities are limitless here, folks. That is such a broad brush.
Oh, but Joe, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that.
You know,
that's the answer I get when I talk to people. You know, when I talk to my neighbors and stuff, they wouldn't do that.
And I mean, you have to be an ignoramus now to believe this, that they would never do something like that. Let me tell you, folks, you don't need to look that far back in history. Hell, it's in your mother and father's lifetime. Hell, it's been in our lifetime that countries have been disarmed. Look at Ferdinand Marcos. Ferdinand Marcos, of course, the ex-dictator of the Philippines, gave everybody 48 hours to turn in your guns or face the death penalty. Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that. You know, we can go back to Chairman Mao, Mao Obama's father. And we can look at Stalin. And we can look at Hitler and Mussolini. We can look at just a plethora of dictators that have had a gun grab happen, and next thing you know, what happens? Oh, it's the unpopular people. It's the other side. The people that didn't grab the guns, don't have the guns, they become slaves or they get executed.
But, Joe, it's not for us, it's for them. But what people don't realize is we become them.
Well, that's right. We do. And, here's the thing. It's as simple as this. Liberty and freedom is our birthright. God gave us all free will. And no one can take that away from you. You still have the right and you still have the ability to not participate, to not consent. Now, they may throw you in jail, but at the end of the day, you're still, we got to fight this. At the end of the day, you still have to fight this. At the end of the day, we're still responsible for the actions of our government. We are the boss. Okay, here we go. Number 5, provide rulemaking to give law enforcement the ability to run a full background check on an individual before returning a seized gun. Why are you seizing the gun in the first place? I mean, this is again, I don't understand it, but okay. Number 6, publish a letter from ATF to federally licensed gun dealers providing guidance on how to run background checks for private sellers. Okay, so what you're to ask, private sellers are just all of a sudden going to say, oh, well, I'd love to sell you my gun, but come quick. We must go to the gun shop where I can run a background check on you. All right, yeah, that's going to happen. I mean, seriously, folks. This is just absolutely ludicrous. This does nothing to solve any issues. This is just BS bunk to control you and to protect them. That's all this is. That's all this is. It's just steering the cattle into the pen. Number 7, launch a national safe and responsible gun ownership campaign. Yes, folks, your tax dollars that we don't have actually get to go and run a national safe and responsible gun ownership campaign. How about number 8, review safety standards for gun locks and gun safes? Yeah, because what are we going to have now? Like retinal scans that are tied into the government database every time your freaking safe is open?
Yeah.
Voice verification targeting.
I mean, this is unbelievable. How about 9, issue a presidential memorandum to require federal law enforcement to trace guns recovered in criminal investigations. I thought you already do that.
Yeah.
So what the hell do you need an executive order for? That's part of an investigation. I mean, what do you feel special now, Obama? You feel okay, yes, because I said that. That's why they do it. No, yeah, they don't ever try and trace guns back to their source when somebody commits a crime. No, wasn't too long ago that I got a phone call. Because I'm one of like 12 gun owners in this area that have a certain gun. And they're like, oh, do you still have your gun? Why? Well, I don't know, officer. Because, I'm so irresponsible, I don't keep track of my guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, come on, dude. Well, what's the serial number on it? Well, it's none of your business what the serial number is on it.
Well, that guy came here with a turban. He wanted to go target practicing, so I give him my gun, officer. Yeah.
Well, see, so yeah, because they found a gun with the serial number rubbed off, and there was a crime, and they were trying to trace it back to its source. And in the meantime, they're having a little fishing expedition to try and find out, well, what do you do for a living? I do whatever I want to do. Thank you very much. Love you long time. Anything else? Well, no, I just want to make sure that, you have your gun. No, I just told you I have my gun. Do you need to know anything else? Oh, no, sir. Thank you. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they already do this. Number 10, release a DOJ report analyzing information on lost and stolen guns and make it widely available to law enforcement. Really? There isn't already a database on stolen weapons that the police don't have access to? That's bunk. Already exists. Number 11, nominate an ATF director. Oh, well, hey. Roger that. Like that's what is that going to do? All right. Provide law enforcement, first responders, and school officials with proper training for active shooter situations. I thought they were already doing that because you remember right before Sandy Hook happened, they ran an exercise. Right before, there was just one in California, as a matter of fact. I have. It was WIS-TV, Channel 10. That's out of Taft, California. Hours after a routine school lockdown drill, a student with a 12-gauge shotgun opened fire at a California high school, leaving another student in critical condition. Oh, how convenient. Taft County Sheriff Donnie Youngblood says the 16-year-old gunman didn't show up for school Thursday morning at Taft Union High, but interrupted class halfway through the first period. The evidence in his pockets were full. Oh, the evidence is his pockets were full, he said. Had a lot of rounds in it. But happened when? Just after a drill, after an exercise. I mean, is it any coincidence, guys? I mean, I don't know.
A lot of these are minutia points. It's like they kind of throw them out there, to make it seem like they're doing something. But again, as you point out, rightfully, this stuff has already been covered.
Well, you know why? They water down. They're watering it down, Timmy.
Yeah,
They water it down. There's 23 things in here. I saw one major.
Yeah, they don't want you to get to the teeth of it. They'd rather, again, minutia points.
Yeah,
just
they muddy the pond.
Yep, exactly.
They muddy the pond. Okay, so it says, let's see, what else do we have? Issue a presidential memorandum directing the Center for Disease Control to research the causes and prevention of gun violence. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, CDC, get on it. Maximize enforcement efforts to prevent gun violence and prosecute gun crime. That's another biggie. Maximize enforcement efforts. Are we going to start seeing pre-crime now? See, maximize enforcement efforts to prevent gun violence and prosecute gun crime. Does having thoughts, does doing a video on YouTube, does that justify enforcement actions against you because they feel you might commit any sort of violence or gun crime? You see, folks, if we lose the Second Amendment, the First Amendment goes out the door with it. Because how do you protect your First Amendment right without the Second?
Hey,
right, guys?
You can't do that. You can't do that. Yes, we can. We've got guns. Oh, all right, I'll shut up. Pretty much it. You lose your Second Amendment right, you lose your right to defend yourself. All bets are off the table, folks. They'll take the rest of your rights, too. They know the way to your rights is through your right to defend your rights,
That's right.
So that's why they work on the Second Amendment first.
No, you're right, dude. You're right. And think about this, okay? Think about enforcement actions, right? Say you get a speeding ticket. What happens? Well, the first thing that happens is you have a cruiser up your buttocks on the highway, 6 inches from your bumper with big blue lights flashing or red light, doesn't matter, in your face. It's force. It's intimidation.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. Guess what? You can't defend your rights unless you can intimidate, unless they feel threatened by the force of the people. It's the same thing. That's why they want to take the guns away. Because if you do that, now, hey, all bets are off. Now, oh, look at this. They don't have any guns anymore. Woo! It's like Candyland, baby. I mean, really.
And I guess the thing that stands out to me is that through this all, they have been overwhelmed with the voice of the people saying, oh, no, you're not taking our guns. No, you're not taking our Second Amendment right. I mean, they have literally been overwhelmed. We already know that. They've been getting calls at Congress. They've been getting calls at the Capitol. And, so much so that Obama had to last week go on and beg people, please help us, call in, because they're getting overwhelmed at the switchboard. But here's the thing. They're still doing this. They're ignoring the will of the people. I mean, it just proves that there's an agenda because the people have spoken. And they're like, we don't care. Here's 23 executive orders. Deal with this.
Yep. 15, direct the Attorney General to issue a report on the availability and most effective use of new gun safety technologies and challenge the private sector to develop innovative technologies. Challenge them. Come on, boys, get out there and fight. I mean, really, are you serious? Come on. Now, here is a big one. This is another biggie, folks. This is one, you take the muddy waters, you push it aside. Here's a big one. Clarify that the Affordable Care Act does not prohibit doctors asking their parents about guns in their homes. That's a huge one. They are going to force doctors to confront parents on this issue.
Wow.
And if you answer it in any way but the scripted response that they're looking for, they're going to report you. and they're going to hold medical licenses over their head. It's the same thing that happens with pills. You have the prescription monitoring program. A doctor falls out of that, on the chart, how much he's prescribing per how many patients, per this and that. Oh, he's out of line. Let's go seize his stuff. Well, they're going to hold a lot of things over the doctors' heads with this Affordable Health Care Act, and one of them is going to be poking and prodding you to find out about what kind of guns you have in the house. And that's, we can start the Nunya campaign. Yeah. When the doctor asks you that, Nunya.
None your business.
That's right. Also goes on to say, clarify that it says, release a letter to the healthcare providers clarifying that no federal law prohibits them from reporting threats of violence to law enforcement authorities. So now all of a sudden, this is 16 and 17 go hand in hand, right? Because it's saying that if you do a Nunya campaign, well, I felt threatened by that. They were very forceful. They didn't want to say anything. So now they report you. Oh, so even if you don't say anything, they're going to report you. Because there's no law that prohibits them from reporting you. It's very interesting, folks. See? So 3, 16, and 17 right now. Those are the biggies. How about provide incentives for schools to hire school resource officers? Oh, isn't that nice? Now you're going to start giving the school departments more money to pour more resource officers. Oh, that's good for more lockdowns, more unconstitutional searches of backpacks for contraband and everything else. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's ratchet down on that police state a little bit more. Let's get those kids indoctrinated just a little bit more to see the police officers in uniform or amongst them. Mm-hmm. All the time, always there, always looking in. Getting them to understand, and then at the same time, forcefully. I mean, we just saw a video of a girl getting her arm broken. She was 12 years old. She was, cursing in the hallway. Unbelievable. Folks, we'll be back in just a flash. Coming up on the other side of the break, we have the King's Court, and we'll finish up with the remaining 6 or so executive orders that Chairman Obama has given out. So we'll be right back. Don't go away.
Real alternative work.
Folks, with all the talk of a gun ban and the usurpation of the Second Amendment rights, Orion Talk Radio urges everyone to start calling your elected representatives. Call the Capitol Hill switchboard at 202-224-3121 and ask for your congressional representative and let them know we're not going to take this. Please call or email your congressperson today, yesterday. Do it now. Get out and start mobilizing protests. Don't wait like the British did. Make your voice heard now. Speak up for your Second Amendment right, because at Orion Talk Radio, we're fighting hard to keep that. And as a matter of fact, on the front page of Orion, there's another poll you can take. It's the one sponsored by Ruger. It's awesome. All you have to do is click on it, you fill out your information, and it will send it in one keystroke to all of your elected representatives, locally and on a federal level. So that's a good thing to do. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for King's Court time. And with all the attacks on the Second Amendment and our liberties, have you ever wondered what our founding fathers would think of us today? Well, Joe Joseph is going to conduct an interview with Thomas Jefferson, as played by John King. So let's call the King's Court into session. Joe, take it away.
Yes, Mr. Jefferson, it's fabulous to have you on the broadcast tonight. Mr. President, if you said the Tree of Liberty needs refreshed from time to time with the blood of tyrants and patriots, is the blood the price of liberty?
The price of freedom and liberty is eternal vigilance.
Yes. Well, sir, we have become a welfare state. What will become of us if we continue this course?
The democracy will cease to exist when you take away from those who are willing to work and give it to those who will not.
will, with all the trespasses against our liberties, why do people still remain silent?
Timid men prefer the calm of despotism to the tempestuous seas of liberty.
Do our rights come from our government as our politicians would have us believe?
A free people claim their rights as derived from the laws of nature and not as the gift of their chief magistrate.
What do you say to the fact that less than 3% of Americans read the newspaper?
The man who reads nothing at all is better educated than the man who reads nothing but newspapers.
What do you think of the laws imposed restricting the Second Amendment?
Laws that forbid the carrying of arms disarm only those who are neither inclined nor determined to commit crimes. Such laws make things worse for the assaulted and better for the assailants. They serve rather to encourage than prevent homicides, for an unarmed man may be attacked with greater confidence than an armed one.
What say you to the people of the Second Amendment?
The people will not understand the importance of the Second Amendment until it is too late.
Very good, Mr. President. As we continue, it says, our government is bloated with overspending and has grown to eminent proportions. What do you have to say about big government?
A government big enough to give you everything you want is a government big enough to take away everything that you have.
What will happen if people do nothing?
All tyranny needs to gain a foothold is for people of good conscience to remain silent.
God has been taken out of schools. What will be the result?
Without God, liberty will not last.
What do you think of the current government?
An elective despotism was not the government that we fought for.
What do you like? What did you like to do in your spare time? I just know something big's coming. Go ahead.
Some of my finest hours have been spent on my back veranda, smoking hemp and observing as far as mine eye can see.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, very good, John.
Court adjourned.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Hey, Mr. Jefferson, there's a little odor coming up. You better crawl back.
Wait a minute, though. I thought Thomas Jefferson had teeth. Oh, wait a minute. I meant to say it was George Jefferson. We got it wrong. Sorry. Anyway.
Nice job, Johnny.
Yeah, great job, John.
Thank you.
Folks, I want to put a couple announcements. First of all, following the Freedom Link is Down the Rabbit Hole with Popeye. And his guest tonight is Gary Franchi. So make sure you tune in. Gary's a very good guy, and it's great to have him on here at Orion Talk Radio as a guest. So make sure you tune in for Down the Rabbit Hole of Popeye coming up at 10 p.m. Eastern. And then don't forget Sound of Freedom with Ryan Brooks is moving to a new time. Starting Monday the 21st, Ryan and Sound of Freedom will be you can hear it Monday to Friday, 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. Going kind of late. Get some late night liberty.
But he's a West Coast boy, so that helps him out on the West Coast.
Yes, it does. It certainly does. So, I mean, good for you, Brooksy. Get the time you need. Step up the fight for the people out there out west. So, guys, we got about 5 more or so, I think, executive orders here. And as we go down, like I said, the ones that are really, really applicable here are 3, 16, and 17 so far. Those are the ones that really have some really deep consequences if they don't get overturned by Congress. And Congress can nullify these executive orders too, by the way, folks. You have to understand that. Now, it's 19. Develop model emergency response plans for schools, houses of worship, and institutions of higher education. Now, see, I used to think that there were already in place emergency response plans for most places.
I know everywhere I've worked, I've had an emergency response plan to things. I don't know. You guys, do you have, John, where you work, do you have an emergency response plan?
We have meeting places where we're supposed to go in case of an emergency, but no particular response plan. And if you're referring to an emergency response plan as far as somebody bringing a gun to work, they have no rules on people bringing a gun to work. Actually, most people do during hunting season.
Yeah.
I was going to say part of my emergency response plan is having my gun.
Well, yeah, that's a great emergency response plan. I like that. No, that's good. But do you see, okay, so this is another one that muddies the water because a lot of these places already have this in place. That's what, when you hear, oh, well, somebody brought a Nerf dart gun to school, so they locked it down. That's an emergency response plan. They lock it down. These things are already there. This is another one that kind of muddies the water a bit. 20, release a letter to state health officials clarifying the scope of mental health services that Medicaid plans must cover. Now, that could be another big one because when you start talking about adding mental health services and everything like that, you also start talking about a lot more SSRI uptake inhibitors, all that kind of stuff being put on the streets. A lot more people taking them. It's just another big push by Big Pharma, which at its core is one of the major contributors to this problem, not the guns. 21, finalize regulations clarifying essential health benefits and parity requirements within ACA exchanges. 22, commit to finalizing mental health parity regulations. That's a biggie. Well, who's a crazy? Who is a crazy? And launch a national dialogue led by Secretary Sebelius and Duncan on mental health. Who makes it? Who's the judge? That's my question. And the big question that everybody should be asking is, who are you to tell me what I can and can't have? I mean, the fact that I don't hear any outrage about that just stuns me. Because what if I became president and I said, from here on out, I'm going to choose who can and who can't watch the NFL on Sunday? There'd be mass riots in the streets.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Joe, if all men are created equal, what gives you the right to judge me and give me the right to have a gun, or a privilege for that matter?
That's right. It's not a privilege. It's not something anyone can take away.
Well, they're turning it into a privilege. That's why I formed that question in that manner.
Yeah, but it's a choice. It's a choice. At the end of the day, it's a choice. When they come knocking on your door, you have a choice. You give it up or you go down fighting. And I know it's not much of a choice, maybe for you, but you're going to have to do something. People are going to have to draw the line and say no more. If we give this up, I mean, seriously, we just become another slave society. We were on the Timmy and I were on the Vinny Eastwood show tonight, and we were talking about this too. He says, New Zealand, you can't have guns there, and they put these outrageous restrictions and regulations that make it very, very hard for people to own guns. Then what do? They can force anything on you. The reason for these gun rules and regulations are simply to protect those that are putting them in place and the people that pull their strings. Do you think Obama's doing this because he feels compelled to morally after he's killed how many children with drone strikes? He cares about your kids? That heartless bastard can go and do that overseas, and it's okay, right? Because it's not our kids. I don't know. I mean, the guy may not even be American, for God's sakes. There's enough evidence to support that. You think he cares about your kids? He doesn't care about your kids. All he cares about is the person with the hand up his ass. I mean, this is it, folks. If we don't make our stand now, it's over. Over. And I don't know how much we have to say or do, and how many times over the course of the last 3, 4, 5 years that the Freedom Link's been doing this. I mean, it's just paying attention and being a student of history, and you can see this stuff. So it's time to get active, folks. Time to get active. No more sitting on the sidelines. And let me tell you something. I have been getting some fantastic responses and emails on examples of activism.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where people's letters are being published in the papers, where they're being read on their local news. You know, they're getting out there, and then the local news is out there and holding the sign up behind the guy, you know, that kind of stuff. This is great. But we need a lot more than that. Because the mainstream media mouthpiece run by the CFR has totally and completely hijacked the narrative. So we have to be louder than the mainstream media. And remember, too, folks, that a lot of people in poverty, they don't have computers at home. They don't have access to the internet. They don't have the things that we have when we do these broadcasts or you listen in on the internet or have a smartphone. A lot of people don't have that. So they're reliant on the mainstream media. So it's incumbent upon us even more to reach out to those people, to reach out to the ones without computers or are in technology dead zones and get the word out.
Joe, if they don't want to approach the people in person, just make a banner and leave it to where, like on a bus stop or in a storefront window, to this radio station that you're listening to now, with the time of our show, and let us do it. We'll do it for you. Just say, hey, listen to these guys. That's all you have to say. Just leave a pamphlet. Make a flyer. Stick it on the wall.
Go to the Walmart. You know, that. Believe me, you know, everybody shops at China Mart now. You can try and get away from it, but, you know, there's some things that you just got to go to China Mart for, at least where I live. And I'll tell you what, that's a great thing, you know, make some flyers, put them on the cars. But do something. I mean, just do something. One person can make a difference.
Yeah, sign some of these polls, too. You know, there's the one that I just mentioned that's on the front page of Orion. Hats off to Ruger. I mean, they're right in the backyard of the Sandy Hook thing, and yet they took a stand. And they've made an awesome vehicle for you folks. Take it, Joe. I'm dropping out.
No, that's okay. You're back.
Okay, but the thing is, all you got to do is you click on the button. It's right there on the front page of Orion Talk Radio, and you fill out a little information, your name, your email, and specifically your zip code, because then it's going to find your local legislators and who actually represents you on the Hill. And with that one keystroke, it sends it to everybody. Obama gets it, Biden gets it, the Attorney General gets it, all your representatives get it from your area. It's awesome. And you know what? They just started this a couple days ago, Joe, I think, and they've had 418,869 as of this afternoon. I just checked it now. It's over 442,000, so an increase of 24,000 people have signed that petition in just a few hours this afternoon. So this thing is growing. So, folks, if you can, if you just do that one thing, it will at least let our legislators know that, you know, we're pissed off about this whole thing.
That's right. Yep. And the one thing that they're concerned about, too, just like everybody else, is their job. They don't, you know, are they in it because, you know, they want to serve the people? Maybe that's how it started. But, you know, they want to keep on serving and keeping on so that they can have that. Power corrupts, you know, and let me tell you something. A lot of those people in there have made their fortunes because of the position that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so just understand that. They want to keep their job. And if they think they're going to lose it, they might want to, you know, change course. And a lot of them end up doing so. They can only throw the election so much. I mean, if there's that much outrage and there's that much, you know that you're going to get thrown out by a big majority, I mean, it's done. So understand that, but you have to be heard. Just think about how it's a very vocal minority that that are extremists, I guess you could say, to some sort of a degree. Whether you look on the the socialist side, on the liberty side, or whatever, it's a very vocal minority. Same thing with the mainstream media. You know, CFR, very small minority in the grand scheme of things. Congress, very small minority in the grand scheme of things. But they're so much louder than us through their actions. We need to be louder than them. You know how easy it would be if we all sacrificed 1 hour of our time each day and did something different, you know, or even not participate. This whole house of cards would fall in a heartbeat if we all just said, look, we're defunding you.
Yeah.
I mean, we are complicit, folks, in the crime. As long as we keep paying taxes, we're funding drone strikes. We're funding occupying countries that we don't belong, where we don't belong. We're funding all that. We're all guilty as long as we keep on doing it. You cannot be ignorant of that.
No, you know, to quote a famous quote from history, you know, now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country, you know, all good men and women, you know, all of you. I can't think of any more important time in our nation's history than right now, Joe.
You're absolutely right. Johnny King, your thoughts?
Well, I would just want to say that unquestioned obedience to government is slavery. Resistance is the most patriotic thing you can do.
Yeah.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. It is through resistance that you develop a not pessimistic or a standoffish approach. You just get to see things in a different light. You know, don't just take everything at face value. And don't believe everything you're told, especially from the mainstream media. I mean, we can't harp on the CFR and the entangling alliances within the mainstream media enough.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think that's what Thomas Jefferson meant, that a man who reads nothing is more intelligent than a man that reads newspapers. Not that a man that reads newspapers is educated. It's just that the man that reads newspapers just gets the government lying.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I mean, most people don't want to be bothered. They just want to be able to be left alone to raise their family in peace. I mean, who doesn't want to do that? Who doesn't want to do that? But, folks, that's not the world we live in. And guess what? Even if we win this battle, there's going to be one right behind it. Yeah. And even if we win the war and liberty's restored and the Constitution is restored, there's going to be a nefarious force right behind it trying to take it away again.
Yeah. Just like Sopa and Pippa, you know, they'll come right back. You know, they wait a few weeks, they let the lull die down, you know, or the fervor die down to a lull, I guess. And then, you know, they're right back at it.
That's right. It will never stop, John. Go ahead.
The price of liberty is eternal vigilance. Our forefathers were very, very wise men.
That's right. You know, my wife just said, you know, the ship's going down and we're all in it. And it doesn't have to go down. You know, the ship can still be saved.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be saved tomorrow if we just all decided to say, nope, we're not participating anymore.
Yeah.
I'm the one at the bow with the life jackets for sale for $2 of silver.
Always an enterprising man.
Always an entrepreneur, that one, yes.
Yes, I am an entrepreneur.
Yes, entrepreneur.
But, you know, you guys are right. You know, talk. We keep telling people this over and over. If you can't figure out what to do, you know. I mean, after 9/11, that's what I did. I created websites, you know, 3 of them, as a matter of fact. You know, I did anything I could to get the message out. You know, and if you can't make a website, you know, start an email distribution list. You know, start coffee chats with your neighbors or something like that. You know, run for local office. I mean, there's so many things you can do, but, you know, the least of which you can talk. Because, again, that's what they fear. They fear an informed populace. And we've given you some of the tools to talk about right now. And 2 of the biggest ones, I'd say, have to be what Joe mentioned, the CFR connection and the media. Because once people realize the chink in the armor of the media, then they'll go, oh, maybe they are lying to me. And you have to expose that fraud, the CFR connection with the media. And if you want to know about it, it's on the Orion front page. Scroll down to the bottom. You'll find that. You can name them. All the names of all the media figures. And if you want to know one other thing that you can arm yourself with, it's the statistics from the FBI, their Uniform Crime Report. There is no gun problem in America, folks. Gun sales are going up. Gun crime is going down. Murder by guns is down for the 5th straight year. But you're not hearing that from the mainstream media. So these are things, if you want to know what to talk about, those would be the two things. I would attack the media and the CFR connection, and I'd attack these this false gun rhetoric in this country.
Right. Well, folks, that is the broadcast for tonight. Make sure you stay tuned for Down the Rabbit Hole with Popeye, and understand that what Tim is saying is absolutely right. You have to expose these people, and to do so, it's educate the masses. So,
get ready for the epic new documentary adventure ride of your life. Shade, the motion picture. A view into the globalist domain. An Embellis and Burles film.
Nothing in this world works the way you think it does. Nothing. Governments do not operate the way you think they do. Banks do not do what you think they do. The police department is not here for what you think it is. Nothing in your world works the way you think it does.
We have elected now the new world government has been identified, and they thought they did quote the world economy to bring in a worldwide police state, but instead it's going to bring them down.
You have to stand up, speak up, speak out.
Shade the Motion Picture. Order your copy of the DVD today at shadethemotionpicture.com.
Orion News Talk exists because the corporate news media has failed us miserably. Our media has been controlled for decades. In 1917, J.P. Morgan bought up or infiltrated